Hey there, comic book friends. This is another edition of No Capes, where I talk about some of the books that don't really have anything to do with superheroes, and Ethan doesn't read along with me. Anyway, first I'm going to talk about, this is Hellblazer, number 291. Love the cover. Constantine is a door knocker there. But this issue really wasn't that great. I was all excited for it because it was going to be Constantine basically summoning up his evil twin that lives in hell, and supposedly him permanently dealing with him because of all the stuff that he's done to his niece Emma. Guest artist in this, artist is okay. It kind of throws things off from the art we've been having. It's kind of a quick one-shot. They do deal with Constantine's evil twin. He seems to be pretty well taken care of by the end of the book. And it leaves his niece walking off into the sunset at the end of it. Not necessarily happily into the sunset, but into the sunset anyway. The book was okay, but it felt like filler. I mean, it's a story I'm assuming they wanted to tell. It probably could have been told in one story, one issue like it was. I don't know. It didn't really tie into anything, and it didn't have a lot of satisfaction. There's some interesting character moments in it and some of the other people that are around Constantine, but as a whole, it didn't really excite me a whole lot. It wasn't as good as the last big arc we've had going on and whatnot. Hope to see the regular artists back on it and whatnot. It doesn't discourage me from Hellblazer. It just happens to be one of the issues that, I don't know, didn't really do a whole lot for me. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't real engrossing either. Okay, next up I'm going to talk about Fatale, number 5. The book has now moved back into the occult more so. I'm enjoying this book. I'm still wondering if I would enjoy it more if I was reading it as a trade. It's getting interesting. It's got to be coming to some sort of a header here, I would think. I mean, it ends, kind of finishes off a story, and is now starting up another story. I thought this was going to be a mini-series of sorts, and now I'm going to have to go look and see because I don't know. It's kind of feeling like it potentially could go on and on, which is fine. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I like it. I'm not excited about it, but yeah, it's interesting. I want to see where all it's going to go. Yeah, pulp noir kind of a thing with some occult put into it and whatnot. Yeah, I like it. Like I said, I'm interested to see what's going on, but it doesn't have me really excited. Next up, I'm going to talk about Saucer County, number 3, with that awesome cover. Big old bunny there looking down on, spotlighted on some people in the car down here and whatnot. This is Ryan Kelly doing the cover of his own book. He does the art on the inside. Art is amazing in this book. The story is great. I tell you, after this issue, I will never trust bunnies again. Paul Cornell and Ryan Kelly have pretty much totally freaked me out about bunnies. This has to do with alien abductions and that sort of thing. There's some more character build up in it. It's pretty interesting. Our academia guy has finally met up with the politicians who have hired him. They hire him. First thing he has to do is sign a disclosure statement saying he's not going to say anything. The politicians basically want answers. Have I really been abducted by aliens? What's really going on? And of course, the academia guy that they've hired is a mythologist. He basically says, look, I don't know what happened to you. I know something happened to you, and right now the common mythology says that it's some sort of an abduction, alien abduction, but we don't really know what it is. The reason I'm frightened by bunnies in this is because the aliens have some ability, some power, whatever, that make your mind fill in the blanks where the aliens would be with something else, so you're not so disturbed, so you're not waking in nightmares all the time and that sort of thing. And our main character's ex-husband bunnies is what he sees. Bunnies is what he sees. So, are we being abducted by aliens? When you go back and think of your memories and you see things that maybe don't quite fit quite right, but they're still pleasant or whatever, was it really aliens? This is a great book. This is a really, really interesting book. Between the politic end of it, the political end of it that's going to be coming down, and this whole alien sci-fi side of it, is going to be really, really interesting. And I absolutely, absolutely love the artwork. Ryan Kelly should get more notoriety and chops than what he does. The guy is amazing as far as caricatures and emotions and getting a sense of what's going on in the story by just looking at the pictures and whatnot. Really, really enjoying this book. It's just odd and quirky, but not so far out there that you spend all your time not getting what's going on. Great book. And another great book that, of course, everybody's talking about, Saga #3. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous cover, even with the intestines hanging out of the bottom. We find out that the horrors in this really aren't nasty creatures that they thought they were. Basically, the indigenous people of the planet that they're currently fighting this war on, there's something about it that when they die, they get re-enlisted as ghosts to try and help fend off things that are attacking the planet, basically. This girl in particular, I can't remember what her name is right now, she is helping our two main characters. Marco, of course, has been shot, is bleeding to death. They're trying to get him to someplace to safety so they can get him healed up. He needs some certain components for a healing spell. They're going to get that. Snowflakes, I think, is what one of the components was. They strike a deal that she is going to end up being connected with the baby, with Hazel in some way. Mom relents to that happening. She doesn't want anything to do with it to start out with, but they get desperate. That's going to be interesting. This character, she's cool, she's great. Our people that are hunting down our two main protagonists. There's the Stalk. She's continuing to have problems. She calls up our other bounty hunter, tries to get him to help. He's like, yeah, forget it. I'm still not having anything to do with this whatsoever. That's interesting. Our upper class TV head people are continuing to pursue hunting these people down. He has interrogated some of the other people that were in the prison. The use of the screen and obviously the guy's got anger issues and all that sort of stuff. All the little things about this make this book so great. I think that if you're not picking this up and not reading this, unless it's really not your cup of tea, weird sci-fi kind of thing, if it's not your cup of tea, sci-fi fantasy, then obviously stay away from this book. But if you like, that kind of thing, you're gonna be missing out if you aren't picking this up. I think it's one of those books we'll talk about for a long time. I think, and I don't say that lightly. I think it's pretty amazing. The artwork is fabulous, and the writing is great. Anyway, always excited to get this book and read it. Excellent book. Another excellent book I want to talk about is the new Deadwardians. This is #3. This issue is particularly good. It starts to show us that there's some class warfare going on. The vampires that are in the thing seem to be the upper crust as a general rule. They have servants. The servants are humans. The upper crust lives in this zone that's free of zombies and that sort of thing. The humans live in a zone that's kind of where there's zombies fenced off, but they live in that same zone. They're kind of the underclass. We see some unions striking in this. Our main character goes out into the zone where the humans and the zombies live. We get to see more of the combination of the two, and that's really interesting also. The zombies, of course, don't pay attention to the vampires at all because they're dead. They don't even sense that they're there. It's like they don't exist. We get to see some more interesting workings of the vampires themselves. Our main character, the captain, he goes to a brothel, and the brothel kind of specializes in vampires and trying to get them going again, because they kind of imply the fact that lots of vampires don't have the normal body functions that most males would do when surrounded by a bunch of topless women, which in this book there are lots of topless women in it. Our main character has a large conversation with, to get information out of her, for one thing, and just about his own feelings and whatnot, of one of the prostitutes. That's really interesting. It builds on our mystery of our dead vampire, and kind of just how disenfranchised the vampires are from the rest of humanity, further enforcing what all they give up to protect themselves from the zombies, and the sacrifice that he made, because he basically, way back in the day when there was a war going on, volunteered to be a vampire, gave up his humanity, for Queen and country, to fight off these hordes of zombies and whatnot. So the end of the book, our captain, he gets looks like he's going to get tangled up with some humans who don't like his kind, slumming around in their area and whatnot. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This is going to be a really, it's been really interesting. This one about has kind of, hints on the class warfare stuff. That's kind of interesting, and the conversation that he has for a couple pages with one of the prostitutes is very, very, very interesting. So really, really enjoying that. There's 5 more issues to sum this thing up and whatnot. I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes and whatnot. Enjoy the heck out of it. Okay, next I'm going to talk about a couple anthologies. This anthology is Mystery in Space #1 by Vertigo. This is something that just came out. All the stories have to do with space in it. I can't remember how many different stories are in this thing. It's got a wide mix of some of the writers that are out right now. The writer for iVampire has a story in this. Anna Setti, who is writing Green Arrow currently, who I'm having lots of problems with, has a story in this. There's a bunch of different people have little stories in this thing. Okay, I'm back for another piece here. I guess my memory card was full. I didn't realize when it quit, so I'm going to do a little bit of talking. I may repeat myself a little bit here as I try to splice these pieces of video together and whatnot. At any rate, I was talking about Mystery in Space. It's almost 80 pages. It's $8. There are some good stories in here. Mike Aldred, as I talked about. Here's some of Mike Aldred's artwork in here. He's the guy that does Madman and does artwork for iZombie for Vertigo right now. A lot of people I think saw artwork in here I've never seen before that I really liked. His name is Sebastian Funarama, F-I-U-M-A-R-A. I'm really digging some of his artwork. I'd like to see more of him. I'd like to see him on, some sort of a book. His stuff is yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. This was a pretty decent story too. Kind of fun. Some of these stories in here were predictable. Some of them are pretty cool. There's a couple in here that are forgettable. That I could care less about. The Anna Setti book in here. As I mentioned a little earlier, problem with her on Green Arrow, even though I was really excited she was going to be on that book because of some of the old stuff. She has a story here called Here Nor There. It's kind of a, deals with dimensions and being in two places at once. Schrödinger and Schrödinger's theory and Schrödinger's cat. As a matter of fact, they actually have a pet cat in it whose name is Schrödinger. That's a pretty cool story. There's a story in here about democracy that's pretty cool. Like I said, the first story that's by Dwayne Skronsky, his is pretty good. I guess that isn't iVampire. That's he writes Birds of Prey. That's what it is that he writes. His is pretty funny here. I was originally going to, I wasn't very happy with this when I was going to do the review, and then I kind of went back and thought about it, and looked over the stories again, you know what? There are actually more stories in here that I enjoyed than not enjoyed. I'm going to talk about another anthology that I normally don't review. Just was as a comparison until I started thinking about this, and I said, you know what? These are actually pretty good stories and whatnot. Don't know if I mentioned it. It's $8. I think it's worth the price. I enjoyed it. It was a little bit different. I like anthologies. Anthologies are pretty cool. I get a real kick out of them. The other anthology that I'm talking about, Dark Horse Presents. It's about the same amount of pages. Yeah, it's got some cool fun stuff in it too. This I've been collecting this since about issue 9. This is issue 12. I don't bag this and put it in a box because it's got a square binding on it. First story in here is a alien story, which I don't really care that much about. I mean, I like the movies, but I'm not really interested in the franchise otherwise, and it really wasn't that interesting in the story. Second thing in here is The Creep, John Arcudi, who does a lot of the Hellboy writing, does this in here. It's about a character. The character has oh, what is it called? Acromegalia. It's a growth hormone, and his face is deformed. He's got this huge kind of blockish face in comparison to a normal person, so he looks a little weird. This story, he's a private detective, and he is taking a case from like a high school, like a college sweetheart that he used to have. She doesn't know what he looks like, but her son committed suicide, and a friend committed suicide, and he's doing some investigation because she thinks it's strange and wants to know more about what's going on. So he's doing that. So it's been an interesting little story. These little stories are like, you know, 4 or 5 pages, 6 pages sometimes, depending on what they are. Yeah, and anyway, this is going to look kind of weird because I'm going to splice it in. I can't remember what I've talked about in this, what I haven't in comparison to the other chunks of video that I have. I got to remember to delete my video cards or clear them off before I start recording more stuff. And I'm going to go now because actually it's starting to sprinkle out here, and well, we all know water and comics don't mix. So you'll see this segue into something else. Okay, let's try this again. My card was full. I forgot to delete some old reviews that I had done. Anyway, Dark Horse Presents, issue 12, higher binding. Let's see, I was talking about stories inside. Anyway, the one about the creep, that's actually a pretty good one. The other thing that's in here, there's one, Finder, the Third World, Chapter 10. I'm a bit confused on that story. That story's kind of strange. Not really my cup of tea. There's also the Criminal Macabre, They Fight by Night, Chapter 3 in this one. This story is by Steve Niles. It's a great story. Has to do with a guy who's quasi-vampire, and he there's a political election going on, and a werewolf has slaughtered one of the electees, and they're hunting that werewolf, and it's interesting. It's fun. It's kind of quirky and whatnot. There's another story in here, The House of Fun. It's just bizarre and kind of crude and whatnot. Not really my thing. There's another story in here that is The Damned Can Dance, The Occultist. It's pretty cool. It has to do with, it's set in, well, I don't know, kind of current our times, except there is magic. This has to do with a detective and well, basically a mage, a learning mage that's signed on with the police department to be kind of a consultant and whatnot, and they've kind of stumbled across some, you know, stuff that's going on while they were out on a date, and so they're scrambling to figure out, you know, what's going on and whatnot. That's pretty interesting. Another really great story that's in here is Francesca Francavilla is doing his own Black Beetle story that's in here. Black Beetle is kind of a character that is, I don't know, if you took the Shadow and mixed it with Flash Gordon, kind of a thing. It's set in the 40s during World War II. It's very pulpy noir, you know, Francesca's kind of style kind of thing. You know, the main character is Black Beetle, and like I said, he's kind of a mix between Flash Gordon and the Shadow. It's been kind of cool. It's a couple pages long each time, and it's been fun. I'm hoping we get to see more of that down the road. There's a new story in here, a Mr. X story that looks like it's going to be pretty crazy and whatnot. There's a Nexus story in here. I don't know how many people are familiar with Nexus. Kind of an odd character. Nothing I've ever read. This is actually the first full thing I've ever read of Nexus. I mean, I remember it sitting on the shelves as a kid. I never picked it up. And then this whole thing is kind of finished off with Sensible City. It's a Harlan Ellison short story with a couple pieces of art in it. So it's mostly prose. There's been prose in the back of a lot of these lately, and they've been really good. Of course, this is Harlan Ellison. If you like Harlan Ellison, you'll get a kick out of this. And it ends with a 2-page cartoon called Sabertooth Vampire, which is pretty funny. It's about a vampire that's got huge, huge fangs like a saber-tooth and the bad things that happen to him. Kind of funny. This book is, oh, what's the price tag on it? I cannot remember. I believe it is the same price as the Vertigo book I was just talking about. I'm not seeing the price on it. I think it's $7.99. I get it at a discount, and it is, you know, it's 80 pages of book, and you get a nice mix of all different kinds of stuff. So if you like reading things that aren't real superhero oriented but are the comic book world, you know, maybe give one a shot, see if you can find it. I don't know if they sell these things in the cheap bin somewhere or whatnot. To give it a quick check out if you want to. Coming up in the next issue, they're relaunching The Ghost, which I don't know anything about. But I guess it was a title that was around quite some time ago. The author, Kelly Sue DeCornick, has been doing lots of work on it and has been traveling around. She just spent a lot of time in Chicago, so she can get a lay of the land there, because that's where the comic book is set in. I guess she just went and did went to some haunted house to check out ghosts and whatnot with a paranormal investigation team in the state of Oregon just a couple days ago. So yeah, that might be fun. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. It's Phil Noto is doing the artwork on it. I mean, here's the promo page for it. I don't know if that's going to focus very well, but Phil Noto does some awesome work and whatnot. So so yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Look at that guy. He's pulling judo on a butterfly that's pushing a skull of some sort. Anyway, yeah, good stuff. Continue to like my no capes, like the non-superhero, because I love comic books, and this just goes to show you can tell some amazing stories in comic books that have nothing to do with superheroes. Anyway, that's it. Have a good one.